Deep inside Mel's hole, something terrifying was captured on camera, sending shockwaves around the world. This mysterious pit, located in a quiet part of eastern Washington, is rumored to be bottomless. Cameras lowered into its depths have caught strange, eerie images that have puzzled even top scientists. The question lingers, what horrors lie hidden in Mel's hole? Join us as we explore the chilling secrets of this strange place. In eastern Washington, there exists a mysterious location known as Mel's Hole, found by a local man named Mel Waters. This peculiar pit, which appears to have no bottom, has captured the curiosity of many. Since its discovery, numerous oddities and unexplained events have occurred, leaving people baffled. Cameras lowered into the depths of the hole have recorded unsettling images that even experienced scientists struggle to explain. Legends of ghosts and government secrets surround this enigmatic hole. Mel's Hole is located on the Mellett property, west of Ellensburg on Manastash Ridge. Though it resembles a typical well, it isn't used for water. Over the years, people have thrown all sorts of trash into the pit, yet it never fills up, sparking Mel's curiosity about its actual depth. His dogs behaved strangely around the hole, acting fearful, and Mel even picked up unusual radio signals when he was near it, adding to the mystery. In 2017, a group of researchers discovered the hole and decided to investigate. They lowered a camera, but the terrifying sights they encountered drove them away, realizing it was far too dangerous. This pit is no ordinary hole. It's a large circular opening about 9 feet wide, with stone walls extending down roughly 15 feet before fading into darkness. For years, Mel, his wife, and even their neighbors used it as a dumping ground. Oddly, no sound is heard when items are tossed in, and there's no sign they ever reach a bottom, confounding everyone. Keen to determine the hole's depth, Mel, an avid fisherman, devised a plan. He tied a 1-pound weight to his fishing line and lowered it into the pit. After reaching a depth of 4,500 feet without hitting bottom, the mystery remained unsolved. Mel didn't give up. He tried again, substituting a heavy weight with a pack of lifesavers to test for water, but they returned dry. Undeterred, he continued sending down line, reaching nearly 10,000 feet, almost 2 miles, with no sign of a bottom. At one point, he extended his line to 880,000 feet, or over 166 miles, and still found no end. The hole seemed truly endless. Strange phenomena continued to surface. Mel's dogs would avoid the hole, backing away as if sensing danger. The surrounding area was eerily silent, with no birds or insects nearby, though birds did fly over the pit without issue. Talking with neighbors, Mel discovered that their dogs exhibited the same fearful behavior. One neighbor shared a startling story. After burying his deceased dog in the pit, he later spotted the animal alive in the woods, wearing its collar and behaving as though it no longer recognized him, as if it had returned from another realm. Mel's once quiet life was about to capture widespread attention. In 1997, Mel's unusual tale began to gain traction. With the growing curiosity surrounding the pit, he found himself overwhelmed and unsure where to turn. At the time, there was a popular radio show called Coast to Coast AM, hosted by Art Bell, known for discussing paranormal and unexplained phenomena. Mel reached out to Art and his listeners, hoping they could help him make sense of the pit and the strange occurrences surrounding it. His story, shared on this well-known radio show, quickly gained an audience, and soon, tales of government involvement and deeper mysteries began circulating. The following day, when Mel tried to return to his land, he found it was now off-limits. The U.S. military had taken control of the area, preventing anyone from getting close. After Mel's appearance on the radio show, helicopters began circling over his property and didn't stop. He also mentioned that the pit seemed to have strange effects on the surrounding environment. Animals avoided it, but plants thrived nearby. Radios near the pit malfunctioned, often picking up strange noises or distant radio stations from the past. Once, Mel's radio began playing music from decades ago and even broadcast a baseball game from 1967, though he couldn't change the station. When Art Bell spoke with Mel on the radio, their conversation lasted about an hour. Mel, who was in Ellensburg during the call, attempted to return to his land afterward, only to be blocked by military personnel claiming a plane had crashed on his property. Despite the absence of any wreckage, they insisted on inspecting the site and denied Mel access. When he demanded to speak to someone in charge, a man in plain clothes warned Mel that his land ownership might be in jeopardy, hinting they could find illegal activity if he didn't cooperate. When Mel threatened to go to the press, the man laughed, suggesting that no one would believe him. The unusual tales about Mel's hole only seemed to fuel more wild theories. Art Bell and his listeners, however, were open to believing the unbelievable. A few days later, Art checked back in with Mel, who had an astonishing story to tell. Though Mel hadn't seen it himself, a neighbor claimed to have witnessed a dark beam of light shooting from the pit, piercing the clouds with a kind of darkness that defied explanation. Art Bell and his callers remarked that this region of Washington was known for strange phenomena, from UFO sightings to mysterious disappearances and otherworldly events. And so, theories about the pit only grew. Callers shared their own thoughts on what might lie within this strange hole, adding to the mystery surrounding Mel's hole. Some thought it was located on what is known as a ley line, which some believe is an invisible energy line that crosses the Earth. They speculated that perhaps the pit was a gateway to another place or even another time. They imagined that all the things thrown into the pit, like garbage, broken items, and sadly, animals, might end up piled up somewhere else, in a different world. One caller even suggested that the pit could be an entrance to the hollow Earth, a very old idea. Inside our planet, there's a hidden world, much like a huge cave. As this idea spread, more theories came up. Art Bell, unable to go back to his home country, asked the locals for their thoughts. An old neighbor told stories about tall stone pillars that once surrounded the hole. People warned Mel not to talk about it on the radio, fearing the government might be listening. By the end of the show, Mel said he would come back with more news, but when the time came, he disappeared without a trace. Calls went unanswered, so a TV crew went to Ellensburg to check it out. However, when they got there, they found no sign of any hole. Instead, they found a lot of military documents and plans, showing the military might be involved in the area. 3 years later, Mel revealed that he was offered $3 million a year to let the military use his land, but he had to leave the US and never come back. Mel agreed and moved to Australia for 2 years. But Mel missed his family and home too much. Risking everything, he secretly came back to the US to see his family. His journey was dangerous as he tried to uncover the truth behind the mysterious hole. Despite warnings, Mel visited his family and planned to talk more on Art Bell's radio show. But things didn't go as planned. On the day of the show, Mel was on a bus to see his nephew when an argument broke out, leading to a police intervention. And then, it got even stranger. Mel suddenly passed out and woke up 12 days later in a San Francisco alley, confused and scared. His wallet was gone, his arm had painful needle marks, and 2 of his teeth were missing. Things only got worse as he never got his land back and was accused by the government of illegal construction. Just days after trying to contact Art Bell again, Mel found out his bank accounts were emptied. Many started doubting his story, but Art, always curious about complex tales, invited Mel back on the show. It was revealed that while the TV crew didn't find the hole, they saw signs of significant military activity. Plus, something strange happened. Aircraft were suddenly banned from flying over Mel's land, and satellite images of the area appeared as black squares online. Now, Mel was off to explore another mysterious hole in Nevada. This odd change didn't happen until 6 months after Mel's first call to Art Bell, proving he didn't make up the story based on the images. As the story got more complicated, a Native American tribe from Nevada reached out to Mel. They also had a mysterious hole and thought Mel could help them understand it. Wanting answers, Mel went to Nevada to explore this new mystery with the tribe and a group named Forest, making sure he wasn't secretly working with any media or government bodies. As Mel faced this new puzzle, one question remained: what lies at the bottom of these mysterious holes? His adventure continued, uncovering more layers of a deepening mystery that connected not just to his land but to a completely different place. In a public area, people from the Bosque region, originally from the borderlands between France and Spain, had settled. By the 19th century, they had moved to Nevada to graze sheep. The Bosque people spoke of a long-standing hole, believed to have been there for over 2 centuries, and saw it as a sacred site. This hole was about 9 feet wide, similar to Mel's hole, but different. Instead of a stone wall, it had a metallic ring around its edge, made of an unusual type of metal. Mel noticed a strange warmth coming from the hole. When he accidentally dropped a tool onto the metallic ring, it made no sound at all. The noise seemed to disappear. Curious, Mel and the Bosque community began experimenting. They lowered a bucket filled with ice into the hole, which went down about 300 meters, while keeping some ice above ground to compare. When they pulled the bucket back up, the ice inside hadn't melted and was strangely cold and completely dry, looking like chunks of salt. Attempts to melt this peculiar ice with fire resulted in it igniting and burning for a long time, even months. Further experiments with varying amounts of ice showed inconsistent results. Sometimes the ice melted normally, and other times it turned into this strange, flammable substance. The idea of descending into the hole was quickly dismissed by the group as too risky, leading them to consider an alternative experiment, lowering a sheep into the hole. Though it might seem odd, they went ahead with the plan. The sheep, however, seemed uneasy and resisted going down into the depths. It was as if the animal sensed something bad. With caution, the team lowered a box containing the sheep about 1,000 feet into the hole. Suddenly, the rope stopped moving, and a strange humming filled the air. After about half an hour, they pulled the box up only to find the sheep unresponsive, looking dead. The shock and fear among the group were strong as they sensed they were dealing with something profound. The Bosque people, knowledgeable about sheep, decided to examine the sheep's insides to understand what had happened. Inside the sheep, it was as if it had been cooked, and there was a large tumor filling much of its body. Then the situation took a bizarre turn as the tumor began to move on its own. Upon opening the tumor, they found something amazing, a creature resembling a seal but not quite the same, attached to the tumor with an umbilical cord, and shockingly, it had human-like eyes. After discovering this seal-like creature, it moved towards the edge of the table by itself. Mel, sensing the creature's desire to return to the hole, picked it up despite its strange, sticky texture and distinct smell, like the air after a thunderstorm, and placed it near the hole. The creature looked at them one last time before jumping back into the abyss. More odd events led Mel to startling discoveries. Before this strange event, Mel had been battling severe throat cancer, with doctors giving him a grim prognosis. However, after this remarkable adventure, his illness miraculously disappeared, and he felt better than he had in a long time. This encounter seemed to have healed him, changing his life completely. He had ventured into a world beyond normal understanding and came back a different man. Later, Mel returned to the radio show, Coast to Coast, with more tales, particularly about the aftermath of their strange experiments with the burning ice. One of the Bosque residents had brought a piece of this burning ice into his cabin, which led to unexpected consequences. The fire from the ice never went out, burning for months and changing the cabin's atmosphere by sucking out all the moisture, leaving everything dry. The cabin's residents suffered from severe dryness and constant thirst, and even boiling water became a challenge as the steam would get absorbed by the fire. In a completely unexpected event, the wood stove heated by this bizarre ice eventually fell through the cabin floor, leaving more questions than answers about the true nature of this mysterious phenomenon. Instead of fixing the cabin floor the usual way, they just covered the hole with a patch and kept using the strange fire. But then, things got even stranger. A few weeks later, the entire cabin crumbled to dust. When the owner returned with his brother, they saw something bizarre. The stove was now 5 feet below ground level, as if the burning ice had created a small bottomless pit. They found the ground under the stove smooth. Removing the stove required a huge crane. But this wasn't the worst part. Locals began sharing stories of a magical seal that had emerged from the hole, seen as a friendly spirit connecting them to the pit's strange energies. Brightly colored birds appeared around the hole and couldn't be scared away. The locals saw these birds as a sign, perhaps a blessing from the magical seal. But the mystery deepened when locals claimed the seal communicated with them through beeps and clicks on the radio, warning about the burning ice's dangers. Art Bell asked for proof, and the locals said they had recordings. Mel was invited back to discuss this, but then he vanished. 5 years later, the story became a lingering tale of what ifs and maybes. Mel's hole remains a captivating story from Art Bell's show. But what can be proven? The exact location of the hole is unclear. Satellite images once showed a dark area, but nothing conclusive. Fans have tried to find the hole based on Mel's descriptions, but the closest match was just an old well. Mel himself is a mystery. No records of him exist in the area he claimed. Some think he used a fake name. Despite all his stories, there are no photos or physical evidence of the hole. Mel always had excuses for not providing pictures, claiming cameras wouldn't work near the hole. Despite the wild stories, Mel never tried to make money from them. Some think he couldn't keep up with his own inventions, leading to his disappearance. But for 5 years, Mel stuck to his original story. The idea of a hole stretching for miles without collapsing is hard to believe. It's a geological puzzle. But there are those who believe in Mel's hole. In 2017, a group of adventurers used modern technology to find it. They found a farm with what seemed like an infinite void. They threw stones, listened for a bottom, but the mystery only deepened. They felt watched and left urgently before reviewing their footage. What secrets might the Earth still be hiding, and could places like Mel's hole offer a glimpse into other dimensions or realities? Share your thoughts, hit that like button, comment your theories below, and don't forget to subscribe for more.